Today I'm going to share with you how I developed a binge eating disorder, how it was fucking bad to live with that binge eating disorder, and how I get out of this situation with the help of different tools that I found online and that can help you to get over your addiction. Whatever it is, porn, doom scrolling, or nicotine usage, alcohol, whatever, it can be useful for whatever kind of addiction. It was 2021 and I wasn't competing in judo for a lot of time. And finally restrictions went down and I was able to participate into new competitions again. And there was this one in like a month, something like that. But I needed to drop down at 66 weight class in order to compete. Basically, in judo, there are different weight classes, and you gotta be in that weight precisely to being able to compete. I competed in the 66 weight class, but I was weighing around 70 kilos, 71, something like that. So I needed to lose 4 kilos in 1 month, which is not that crazy of a weight cut, but I was kind of lean and it was difficult for me to lose that weight. In that time, I watched a lot of David Goggins video and I saw his story from being a fat man to losing like 30 kilograms in around 3 months in order to get accepted into the Navy SEAL program. So I decided to do something really absolutely stupid, which was like a Goggins kind of style regiment and the training. So I eat it around 1,300 kilograms per day, and I moved only and exclusively with my bike. So I was going to university by my bike, I was going to the gym by bike, whatever place I needed to go, I go there by moving my fucking body, whether it would be by walking or by biking. I don't use my car. And I was doing workouts every day, and I wanted to hit the 66 kilograms no matter what. I wanted to get into that weight class. And it was also a very stressful period because a couple of days before the weigh-in, I found out that my mother have a very light stroke, a very light heart attack, nothing really crazy, but I was worried because she was hospitalized. And I started to binge in that period. I started to eat like very random thing. I started to eat some fruit, and I started to eat some random meat. I started to eating some biscuits and shit like that. But I managed to stop because I still wanted to get into the weight. And I had the competition. I don't even remember how the competition went, but the thing that I remember is that once everything was over, I come back home and I started to eat all the food that I was able to find in my home. I started to eat a lot of ice cream, biscuits, pizza, and all that kind of crap. I started to eating all of this shit and I wasn't able to stop. Really, I wanted to stop because I felt full, I felt bloated, but I wasn't able to I wasn't able to stop. It's just I was looking in the back of my mind at my body automatically putting things into my mouth. I wasn't able to control myself. I was watching myself from the outside, like it's like watching your friend doing something dumb and you're telling him, hey man, you should stop, and he keeps doing that stupid shit. Total inability to quit. And I felt like shit, physically and mentally, because it was very embarrassing for me. I'm pretty disciplined as a person. I'm very strict with my diet and with my training, and even though I was really disciplined, I was really strict, I wasn't able to command my body to stop that food intake. Over that experience, I struggled a lot with binge eating, and it became kind of a coping mechanism for me to deal with fatigue and stress. And I saw that it started to become a problem. In the beginning, I didn't want to admit that because I was saying, fuck, I have an eating disorder. I was thinking, oh, man, it's kind of cringe to have an eating disorder. Like models and girls have this kind of shit. I'm a fucking man. I cannot have an eating disorder. But in the end, that's what happened. I had a food addiction, and I wasn't able to stop eating food, and I cannot stop doing this kind of crap. And I understood, it was a transformative experience actually, because I understood what obese people kind of feel. I understood what heroin addicts, what alcoholics feel on a day-to-day basis. It's not that they lack discipline. It's not that they lack ability to stop. Because it's not about raw willpower. You cannot raw willpower addiction. You need ways and instruments to deal with it. And today I'm going to share with you the ways that I used for manage my binge eating addiction and coming back to a normal relationship with food once again. The first thing that I've done is to changing my environment. So I start to hide all the high palatable snacks. So I loved chocolate, I loved cookies and milk and cereals, all this super sugar stuff. I love that crap. And I started to hide it and increase the friction between me and the kind of snack that I want to reach off. So I started to hiding and make it more difficult for me to go from that. And it helped a little bit, but it wasn't possible because my parents still wanted to eat the cookies. My brother wants still to eat the cookies. So I asked him, hey, can you stop buying that shit? And they were saying, no, we are going to buy it still. Fuck you. And I understand them because, all right, it's my problem. I need to solve it on myself. So I needed to find another way to deal with the thing that I have in my house. Only changing my environment wasn't possible. And maybe it's also your case. You need another way to deal with your addiction. The second way that I used to deal with my binge eating disorder was to increase my awareness, all right? I kept an addiction journal. And in that addiction journal, every time that I had a relapse, every time that I started to binge eat again, I would write it down in order to understand what are the patterns that lead me to do that thing. So I write down the date, when that happened, which day of the week it was, what I ate, at what time, where I was, what was my mood, and what was different from the day-to-day routine, and what could be the potential things that I can do in order to fix that. And it was really helpful for me. You should absolutely do that. I made a template on Notion that you can download in the link down here that you can use in order to gain more awareness of the thing, of the substance or the bad behavior that you're using. And I discovered that my binges were on late night where I was tired, stressed, or after a night where I passed out drinking. So I found out that if I go back home and I didn't go to the kitchen, I directly go to sleep, and especially if I go home very late at night, I don't have to go to the kitchen, I don't have to go reaching for the food, I had to go directly to sleep. And that helped me a little bit to gain understanding on the things that I can do in order to prevent my binge eating attacks. And it's useful to find spotting a pattern, but it's not the most useful way to do that. Also because it also depends about how much stressed you are. It depends how much you feel the craving. It depends if you have an addictive personality, and so you're the kind of person that no matter what need the kind of substance to cope with bad emotions. But I found that there is a way that can help you deal with addiction once for all. And it's very powerful, but it requires you to have big giant balls in order to do that. And it is the third way that I used to deal with my addiction. And the third way is a competing interest. What I need you to understand is that addiction is a maladaptive solution. Addiction is not the problem itself. Addiction is a bad solution to a problem. It serves a purpose, usually. And what an addiction does is reducing negative emotion. Because the problem is not using alcohol itself. The problem is not using heroin or nicotine or whatever, or watching porn. It's not that. That is not the problem. The problem is something else. Maybe you're stressed. Maybe you're lonely. Maybe you lack meaning in your life. And in order to reduce these negative emotions, you have to use the substance. You have to rely on an external thing in order to fix an internal state. I want you to understand that really clear. An addiction is when you use repeatedly a bad maladaptive solution in the external world to deal with an internal emotional problem. Okay? The point, how you solve that thing is by solving your internal problem, and you solve that by having a competing interest. You have to have a stronger goal. You have to have a thing that you want to look after to, in order to make the use of the substance interfere with that goal of yours. For example, when I was in off season in judo, I found myself binge eating a lot because I have no competitions. I have no competitions, and I didn't need to restrain my eating because it was fun. Actually, eating a lot is fun. Binge eating is fun in a way. Okay, it makes you feel good. It reduces negative emotions. It serves a purpose to me. All right, but when I had my competition, I needed to stay in the weight class. I was able to restrain my eating, even in the worst circumstances. When I had something that was important to me, like having an important competition that was coming after, and I needed to be 66 kilos, I was able to not eat for the 3 days straight, even though I was stressed, even though I was hungry. I was able to not eat, not drink water in order to make the fucking weight. And the reason is because I had a competing interest. And in your case, it might not be sports related. It might be academic related. It could be, I want to, I don't know, reach that score in my exams because this feels important to me. And eating all of this crap every day is interfering with my ability to study and get this higher score. Or there's another thing. Someone stopped to drink or stopped to smoke the day that their children were born, okay? The day that their children were born, they understood that if they kept drinking, they kept smoking, they weren't able to stay close with their children when they grew up. And so you gotta find a competing interest. You gotta find a purpose, a meaning to dedicate yourself to, and that makes using that substance not useful for your goals. And I get it, it's not easy, it's not simple, but I believe that this is the way that you could, this is the fucking way to deal with your addiction, to deal with your bad behavior, whatever it is, all right? You need a powerful, purposeful goal to resist cravings, okay? I hope that this was useful. I wish you all the best into managing whatever you're going through. Remember to aim upward as always.